think there's something, there's a lot of stuff about water. We're talking about a well. And then prior to that, there was the water into wine. I do see it kind of like, well, for Christians, there is a baptism of repentance with water. And then from that repentance, then after you have the blood of Christ in a way. So I think the wine and the water symbolically are important. And then we see that he's speaking about not just water in the well, he's talking about as well water that bubbles up into eternal life. So that's as well connected. All right, guys. So let's cut it here. I'll see you. I'll see you tomorrow, unless some event happens. Tomorrow is going to be chapter 5. So let me just add Kurt to the screen. Hey, man, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing good. How
You're
are
good.
you?
I am good. I'm good. So you decided to be brave and come on.
Well, just jump in.
Oh no, that's good, man. Super appreciate that.
So, yeah,
You're from
there
the
was.
Netherlands, right?
Yeah. I'm living in the Netherlands, but I'm originally from Germany. So,
Okay.
excuse my English. It's not that
Oh no,
good.
it's good. It's good. I can understand.
Well, lucky me.
That's it. So what were you saying? Were you talking about like the Giants or something in the
Yeah, I was watching it was nearly 3 hours or something like that with your brother.
yeah,
Because normally I watch your brother. So
yeah,
and sometimes you join him,
yeah,
and I was quite surprised what you find out, and with all the
yeah,
digging you did, and
yeah,
make it was just great.
yeah. They
So
really fit. If like if like my brother is open minded, but a lot of people are taking more like these are beings that are within the universe. They're highly advanced, um,
yeah.
and so it's like I can use all of the research, and all I'm doing is like, oh well, I think it's fallen angels. I think all the stuff that they're seeing, the ancient technology that people look at, the mythologies, these gods in different nations and stuff like that. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's like, some people are like, oh no, those were, aliens. Those were, flesh and blood extraterrestrials and stuff like that. And I just find that it fits really well with Christian narrative, because you have the first book of Enoch, that goes into big details about this rebellion. I'm sure you're aware of the first book of Enoch, and it really
Exactly. Yeah. Sure.
opens up Genesis 6. It's like it's very vague in Genesis 6 about this sons of God coming down mating. I wonder if it's so vague because maybe at that time it was so obvious, like everyone was like, no, we're aware of this. So maybe
Hmm.
there's just a brief mention, but then this information has been forgotten and stuff like that. So like, let me know, like, what are your thoughts on that? Are you taking more these are aliens, or are these
Well,
interdimensional beings?
well, I have a different approach to all of that, but
Sure.
that doesn't mean that I count out that there are angels or anything like that.
Yeah,
Because if you, okay, I have to go back because when I was like 5 years old,
yeah,
I also have to say I have autism since
yeah,
I'm child. When I'm born, I
yeah,
grew- just came up with that. So my parents were really worried about me, and they actually wanted me to take to a psychologist or psychiatrist, and
yeah,
I was lucky they didn't do it. But because 1968, when I was born, there was nothing known about autism, so
yeah,
then they just thought I'm a weird child. I have a
yeah,
brother. I never played with him. I didn't have friends. I didn't want to go to the kindergarten, so
yeah,
I hated all that noise and that
yeah,
freakish children. They are screaming and hitting each
yeah,
other, and for me, it was like just no way. that I can cope with that. So I was always outside, sitting in nature, watching nature, staring in the sun for 10,
Sure.
15 minutes when it was still possible.
Hmm.
The sun was still yellow. So
Yeah.
most people maybe don't know even.
Yeah.
And so I was sitting there, and I had oh yeah, you sit like in a bubble, and you have your thoughts and things coming up. And then in one moment I had like a vision, and I saw a monk in Japan walking down the street and seeing a flower at the wall, and he leaned forward and he smelled the flower, and he said, "Well, I can pick it because it's very pretty and it smells good,
Yeah.
or I can just leave it there, and so I can tomorrow smell it again because it won't die." So, and
Yeah.
my own thoughts were, yeah, every life has a right to live. So I
Yeah.
was 5 years old, and then this complex things going in your head, and I didn't understand where that comes from. But then later on, I figure that might just be me in another life.
Yeah.
So, but I couldn't talk to nobody because my parents, of course, they wouldn't understand that. At least what I thought.
Yeah.
So I carried all that things with me all my life, and I started to read books when I was 10 years, or better said, when I could afford start buying books.
Yeah.
So I read everything from A to Z, about quantum physics, nature, all
Yeah.
kind of books of science, and was interested in everything. So when I was around 14, I was with a colleague, or how you say, classmate, yeah,
Mhm.
and I found a book. Her brother had a book, and then I read the book. It was in German, lucky me. In that
Yeah.
time, my English didn't exist. So,
Yeah.
and it was about the Illuminati, and he was an Illuminati insider, and he went out, and well, later on they killed him, and so yeah,
Yeah.
that's the story about that. But with that book, I started to dig deeper and deeper in all to that what's going on planet Earth, and you learn that a lot of knowledge is suppressed about the church. The church is suppressing so many things. So I like that you trust in God,
Mm.
and you believe in that. And
Yeah.
I also, of course, read the Bible because I
Yeah.
love books. So I read
Yeah. Yeah.
everything
Curious.
I just could
Everything.
find.
Yeah.
And so, but then with the time, you step back and you look like from 40,000 foot view, and you make connections,
Yeah.
and then you start to understand there is a lot more going on than they want to let us know. So
For sure. Yeah.
so
A
my
lot.
my you can interrupt me because like my autism starts and then jumps in, and 2 hours later I can see people breaking because they can no longer listen. So
No,
just
I'm. We're on the same page. Believe me. Like,
okay.
if I can do 5 6 hours nonstop, just talking,
Well,
uh, I have the exact same issue. I think. Yeah.
so
First of
yeah,
all, I want to because I might have mischaracterized you because I've been contacting a lot of people and sent the emails that I send out trying to
yeah,
get
yeah,
like new people. There was one who was like just pretty much a traditional Christian, and
yeah.
you're not, right? You
Well,
because you said, "Oh, he's a Christian," so I let you
Christian. What does that mean? Christian for
when
me is in principle is, I think, somebody that believes in, you call it God.
Mhm.
Um, well, I don't call it God because in my point of view,
Yeah,
it's used not always in a good way.
yeah,
Number one.
understand, yeah,
Number two, to me, okay, everything has to have a name, otherwise it doesn't exist.
okay,
So right, so I call it the all, because everything that exists, the 3D, the universe we are living in,
yeah,
everything is built from that source, or
yeah,
creator
yeah,
or creatrix, because we don't know is it a male or female. So, but when I was a child and my mom told, she read every night from the Bible. That's why I started to learn. Before I went to school, I asked my mom, "Can you teach me reading?" So I started to learn the alphabet. So with 6, I could read. So I
Mhm.
read the Bible because she got always a sore throat. You say?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I said another story, and I didn't want to sleep. So it's one day she said, "No,
Yeah.
you have to learn to read because I
Yeah. Yeah.
can't,
That's smart.
so I can't handle." So I start to read the Bible myself and all these fantastic stories.
Yeah.
And so for me, then it's like when you hear God and how the in that time, like in the 70s, they explain God.
Yeah.
It looks like a very old guy, very wise guy with a gray beard. So, so I couldn't imagine that.
Yeah.
So for me, I had to figure out what is that really? What are we talking about
Yeah.
when we call it God? So okay, it doesn't really matter how you call it because I read about the the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I bought a lot
I
of
read it
books,
too.
and I read them, and so I read this one, and he talks about Krishna, and he calls him God. So
Is it
Arjuna,
Arjuna? The other
Arjuna,
character,
yeah,
Arjuna.
exactly,
Okay. Yeah.
Arjuna.
Having a
But
conversation.
yeah, exactly. They had the conversation and how he has to fight the war, and he didn't
Yeah.
want to, but
Yeah.
long story short. And then you see on the cover of the book, you see this guy, Krishna, and he has a light blue skin. So now, right, that is like, I read that like 20, 25 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
And later on, I got internet 1997. So I stopped watching television at all. I don't watch television. I only surf the internet and watch
That's it.
like news. And then I came across a guy called Alex Collier, and he said he has contact with the Andromedans, and they have light blue skin. And he also said there are not only 10 years, 20 years, 50 years here on Earth. They visit Earth frequently.
Hmm.
So I made my own mind up, and I said, well, if they have light blue skin and they are like have a average lifespan of 3, 4 thousand years, well, why not? It's very possible because the Hindus also have written about the Vimanas, the flying vehicles,
Yeah.
and you see the pictures of that.
Yeah.
So when you think logically, and I can just only think logically because I'm also Gemini. I'm born in June, 7th of June.
Yeah.
So in me, autism and logic, it's just a combination, and it
Yeah.
works well. Of course, I listen inside and do meditation and all that things
Yeah.
over many years.
Yeah.
So I just came to that conclusion. All right, okay, that does make sense when these people are very wise and they want to teach humanity in a
Hmm.
certain way. They well, and they appear like gods, of course.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
the gods, what were described in the Bible, I don't think these are the gods. They are described in the Bhagavad Gita or in the Hindu religion. So
Yeah.
we have a lot of I would say indigenous people in America, like the Hopi. Talk about people
Yep.
they were visit from the stars. So yeah, yeah, you know all that stuff. So I don't tell you anything new.
No, no,
I
but I love discussing about it and stuff like that because uh like I said, for me it's a when I sort of speak like oh, I'm Christian, it's basically, the people that take it very literally. I don't necessarily like, for me, Catholicism, I think is not Christianity anymore. There's just too much
well,
paganism on top of it. And
never
churches,
was.
it's like a house. You go into it and see who's there, kind of thing. I think Christian, to me, is somebody who believes that Jesus Christ is eternal, that He's the Word of God, that God created through wisdom, which is another word, another way of saying the eternal word, like the one verse, the universe. And
Yeah.
all those prophecies in the Old Testament were truly not like allegorical, or were truly accomplished. That this man Jesus entered history. That there's so it's like a very literal approach, understanding that there are some parables, there are a lot of
Sure.
symbolism as well, and that he truly died, resurrected, he ascended. Like that's my view and stuff like that. It's very literal, but like you said, it's only now that like Christians that would be going to the church, to assemble in the building, are
Yeah.
now able to put content out and to learn from each other. So this whole thing about Nephilim, about the fallen angels, about the Book of Enoch, this is very new
For you.
overall. Well, it's not new stuff, but I
No,
find it's very
but for
new
you.
that Christians are saying like, "Oh, I'm a Christian," and they're talking about the Nephilim and stuff like
Okay.
that.
I got you.
It's like, oh, good, finally, because it's funny how there's a lot of like, crazy stuff happening in the Bible, and for some reason Christians are like, yeah,
Well,
we'll accept all this, but you know what? Angels coming down from another dimension and playing around, oh, that's just too much. So a lot of them, you know what I mean? It's like, really, that's too much of stuff. And
sure.
it screws up the whole story, because if you
Well,
follow the narrative that it's a rebellion, right? That these are angels that were there at the start of creation. They understand DNA. They understand a lot of stuff. They are divinely empowered compared to man. And I really think that the genetic manipulation. It says that in that they sinned against not only man, they sinned against the birds, the animals. And it's like, well, what do you mean by sin? I think it's really corrupting the genetic
well, yeah,
print
exactly.
of all creations. And then I start seeing like, well, that craziness with the Greeks, with the centaurs and the animal human hybrids and the demigods. I mean, that's what,
Yeah.
and it's like everything's tying in. Then the study of like giants. I love studying giants, and almost like all cultures have this story of giants. And you look at the remnants of monuments, they're giants, and they have like the elongated skulls and
Of
all of
course they
this.
have.
That's super cool. And yeah, it's really all just tying in. But it says, Jesus says at one point, when the disciples say, well, when will be the end of this age? And Jesus says, as in the times of Noah, so will it be at the coming of the Son of Man. Now,
Hmm.
the Christian that goes just to church, he'll say, "Oh, the people were wicked back then; they'll be wicked now," and it makes God. It affects the character of God in the Old Testament narrative. We could say, whether if someone believes it's literature or inspired. It's like you drowned everything. But if the genetics of mankind, because of this angelic rebellion, right, has become so corrupted as to possibly not even be considered human, right?
Hmm.
The genetic program has been completely altered. It says that Noah was perfect in his generations. That's what the translation says. But if you look at the Greek word, it could be genealogy. So Noah, of course, was not a perfect person, but he was
Of course.
perfect in his genetic code. And that's why God had to ruthlessly eliminate that, because I think it was becoming such a viral issue and that fits more in a character of God trying to protect the human race, this rebellion against him, and this spiritual war against darkness and goodness. And then after we see that there's a second incursion, because after the flood, for some reason, these Nephilim are still here. They are a bit different. They're not as huge, I guess. They're smaller, but still considered very large. And then people will criticize and say, God's a monster. Look, he chooses Israel and he says, go kill off these people. And again, it's I agree, but the Christians
Well,
are not knowledgeable. They don't know about the first book of Enoch and stuff. So they have
exactly.
no defense for the flood. They really can't defend the character. They can try and stretch things, but because of the lack of knowledge of truly the first book of Enoch and things like that, the conquest in Canaan when he's sending them, because that's the promised land. You look at them, the Amorites, the Amalekites, the Zinzumim, all of them are either descendants of this abomination, these mixed breeds, or they're intermingling with them, you know. And
Yeah.
it says knowledge will increase in the end days as well. Well, why? Because back then knowledge was increased. I think that the angels, these we could say interdimensional people from a spiritual dimension, are teaching
Yeah.
all of this high tech technology, and I can see Jesus saying, as in the days of Noah, what are we doing? Genetic manipulation. If you look in
Right.
China, they're mixing, you know, animal and human stuff, and I was like, for me, I'm blown away. I'm like, wow, like this is, as you know, what was done before will be done again and stuff. Anyways, continue. You know, that's
Sure.
kind of where I'm at. That's where, you know, I find
Well,
it.
I understand, and
Yeah,
I can see where you're coming from. Well, right. We're talking open, and
yeah,
so well we can, for example, when you said Noah and the flood, and that
yeah,
of course he cannot take a sample from animals, yeah, male and female, from all the animals living on the earth. But like you said, maybe they took gene samples, DNA. Maybe they took that, and now what I will go so far to say, just to amuse you, let's
yeah.
say that was not an ark, but an ark, not an ark on Earth, but maybe an ark in the sky.
Hmm.
Maybe they took it up and just to save it, and later on they brought it back and they recreated the animals. Then we go into that when I told you about the growing Earth, expanding Earth model.
Yeah,
So, well, if the Earth is expanding, that means also the gravitational field is increasing. So all animals, they are too big, they couldn't actually really live here any longer.
yeah,
And this expanding Earth model, there was a guy, so that's how I learned about. But also, it makes
yeah,
a lot of sense because, um, like in the early 2000s, I of course I also did with my telescope. I watched the moon and all that
okay,
stuff, and read all the kind of books and magazines. And
yeah,
there was a science magazine that was talking about the neutrinos in
yeah,
the Antarctica. They have these balls there in the ice,
yeah,
and they said that the neutrino increase is like double in the last couple of years. So that's like 2003 when I read that.
yeah,
So and now they say it's like, I think it's like more than 10 times, and that is also because well, the Earth and the solar system is traveling through universe,
yeah,
and sometimes you have more energy, and now we're coming into a field where there is a lot more energy. Some people can feel it. Some people go crazy. They don't know what happens. Some people
yeah,
can't sleep so much anymore. Like me, I don't sleep very much. So,
yeah.
and so what I
Same
mean
here.
is that, yeah, but it's not a problem because when you don't feel tired, then it doesn't take too much from your body. So, but it
No,
gives you also more time to study, to enjoy life,
yeah,
to express.
yeah,
Yeah, and so yeah. Then when I read a lot of stuff and I practiced a lot of stuff in kind of meditation, concentration things,
yeah,
and you get a lot of answers because normally we go outside, we ask in the outside, we
yeah,
ask people, we read books, but knowledge is inside of us, and
yeah,
when the Bible expresses or says there is the Holy Trinity,
Hmm.
that that would actually, in the way I learn or studied, would mean that it is also in us, the Holy Trinity,
Yes.
and that that is a mind, body, and soul.
You've never heard me do it. That is great that you say that, because that is exactly the way I explain the Trinity as well. I say to like look at our interaction now, right?
Yeah,
So I'll never know Kurt in your totality, like the whole Kurt. I can never know this, and you'll never know Jason, in its complexity.
of course
But
not.
we communicate with word, and word can be powerful, as you know. It can build up or it can cut down. It's very
Vi-
powerful. It can destroy people.
Vibration.
So me and you reaching out to each other is through the word, and the word is an expression of our spirit and our heart, you could say, and
Yeah,
that's three. You're Kurt. Kurt has a unique spirit, and Kurt reaches out to me through the word. And I'm like, well, if there is one God, or the Most High, whatever we want to use,
whatever.
the Most High,
You
if the
can call it
Most
God.
High wants a relationship, if it doesn't want to just be there's a God, he doesn't want anything to do with us. If he's really a creator and
Yeah,
wants to extend his relationship with us, then of course he is spirit, and he manifests, he brings forth his word towards creation. And then we could say, well, of course, my word, like as far the closest you'll get to me is Jason's communication, his word, and you'll make a judgment of that. I'll judge you by, oh, I know
Wow.
Kurt. He believes this. I have more and more idea of you, and that means we're three. We are unified, and of course, your whole complete essence does not come out of your word. The word comes out of you, is brought forth.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's
Well,
very threefold. I find many Christians they smash the three into one, and they don't respect the dynamic. There's a difference between, let's say in Christianity, the Father, okay, where the word is brought forth from the Father, so the word has always been there, so the word is eternal.
yeah,
And then after you have a spirit of truth, so there's that three, but God is supposed to be on top, so maybe they're of the same nature, essence, quality, but not the same authority,
yeah.
And I find
Well,
Christians, they even switch it by saying God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. And I'm like, wait a minute, wait. It's never said God the Son. It always says the Son of God, and it's for a reason. It's so that we understand that yes, the word is divine. This aspect, this word in the Christian narrative is incarnated. Okay, is walking in a human body, but Jesus is given authority. He does not have authority. He is given all of the authority. So people that just switch and say, like, to non-believers especially, I believe Jesus is God. It's like, yes, okay, we understand that in
kind
his
of.
essence, his nature, but don't just say God, because it always refers to the Father, the Trinity, okay, as God. It says the God of Jesus Christ. So he is pure in the nature. He's something that is brought forth from God the Father. But the God the Father is the ultimate high one. So I find
Of
Christians,
course.
they don't explain it correctly, because I've only been like 5 years Christian. I was
Hmm.
like you. I read everything and anything. I'm hungry to know the truth, and that means you and I are very open-minded about it. I've ended up with the conclusion of coming very, very close to just that religion, Christianity, but I
Well,
have to keep an open mind as well. Like I
uh,
don't want to become solid. I want to
J-
still be able.
Jason, I don't judge because
Oh yeah,
I'm
sure.
55 years old. I study so many things, and
Yeah.
also that when you judge other people, you will be judged.
Yeah.
And that's not just written in the Bible; it's in many books. And
Yeah.
when you well, for example, I always was imagine, well, if this universe that is built by the highest authority, call it God, call it
Yeah.
the source, whatever, it wouldn't matter. So this high intelligence will
Yeah.
also build in some rules, so
Yeah.
that that universe has to have certain, rules and
Yeah.
regulations, what you
Yeah.
can do, what you can't do, how it is built and how it stays together, all these kind of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I came across a book that calls the Kybalion, it's about the hermetic principles, and it calls that the first principle is everything is, in German, we translated from German, it would be spirit,
Yeah.
or you call it mind, maybe in Canada. So that everything is based on that. That
Mhm.
means to me that is the highest what is exists. Everything is spirit, and
Yeah.
because we are part of that, that means the Holy Trinity is that one part of us is the spirit or the mind.
Yeah.
That is the connection to the highest. And
Yeah.
when I started to do meditation, I realized there is a noise behind my left ear, and it's a very high pitch.
Hmm.
And then because I had also a friend in that time who gave me the book where all these practices or how you do these things stand in, we were talking about it, and he said, "Yeah, well, you are correct. This is this noise that you hear. You can suppress it also easily, and most people don't hear it. But when you, it's very quiet, and you start to calm down and just
Yeah.
shut everything down, then you can start to hear that noise." And he
Yeah.
said, "Yeah, and that is the point where your body or your whole being is connected to that spirit, because you
Yeah.
can actually not run around like stupid and you get lost like that,
Yeah.
and you always have to have a connection, because God, as you call it, will always have to keep control of what's going on. He has to
Yeah.
know. That's how I explain for myself."
It sounds very good. It fits pretty much. It's a the way I would see it as well. And it says God Father Almighty is spirit. You know, and
Exactly.
the here. Did you see this slideshow? I don't remember
Yeah,
if I.
yeah. Is that also about? Yeah, that's about. Yeah, yeah. I saw this. I watched the whole 3 or 4 hours you did with your brother. I
Yeah.
actually watched it 2 times, just because it was really good and I enjoyed it a
Oh,
lot.
thanks. Yeah, I love
Yeah,
this stuff. Like these skulls that they're finding, and it's like once you see it, it's like you can't unsee it anymore. Like
you,
it's like, oh, they
no
made
way.
giant statues because the kings, it represents their grandeur and their greatness, and it's like no, no, I think that it's a lot more accurate. But I mean, this obviously, this is some kind of hybrid, whether it's people are like, well, yeah, it's human, but it's
Yeah,
not human. So either it's directly these kind of people that will come back, or this is the result of genetic modifications. And we always see humans always trying to idolize and copy. So it's
to
like,
copy,
and
to
yeah, you see
mimic,
it's like,
like here. Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's correct.
yeah,
Because they were thinking these were the gods, but if my theory or that what I studied
yeah,
make would make sense to you, is like, if these are not human, not from planet Earth,
yeah,
then they would also have different shapes and maybe different colors. If you have like a different sun with a different
race or
light,
yeah,
yeah, rays or light,
yeah,
you also will have different skin color on all the minerals and all that
yeah,
stuff what is on that planet where you are from. And I always find it funny when people say, "Ah, yeah, we are the only ones, so there is nobody else out there." And how fast that is, that makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah,
And that we are the most advanced race in this universe also doesn't make any sense
yeah. My
because it's so old.
my concern is that, like you said, all this is real. The ancient technology is real. These beings are real. I'm just going from, I don't think that they're benevolent. I think that they're malevolent, and that's what the Old Testament says, about the
Yeah.
end. So that's my concern. I know some people are like almost trying to welcome them, and I'm like, well, if I go through just the lens of end time timelines, and there's a great deception that occurs, and I said, well, this would be weird if Christians are going to get raptured. All of a sudden, they're like, there's a lot of people gone. I said, this is, how is that going to, like, people are going to be like, what the heck? Like, are the Christians,
Yeah.
So I said, this is weird. How would humanity react to that? But I think I'm not talking about government disclosure of this. I'm talking about they're here. They're now here. We can see them
Well,
arriving. I think that the perfect time, if they're what I think they are, and that they appear benevolent but they're malevolent, I think that the minute the rapture happens in Christianity, we believe that at one point we're just, and it could happen at any time, we're going to be taken away. It says, I think the minute we are taken away would be a perfect time for these beings to appear, because then they could say, oh, well, the Christians have disappeared because they're on our ship. Their frequency, their energy is too low because of their beliefs. So a retraining, but so I think the rapture, if it does happen, very soon after, these
well,
people will arrive. Like, that's just my narrative. That's like me trying to fit stuff into
makes sense.
yeah,
Makes
yeah,
sense.
and I think
Just makes
that's
sense.
what I like. Iliaus, Bruce and stuff. It's funny how I can have such a open-minded conversation, and unfortunately other people that they can't, so it's a very good spirit of sharing that I've
Well,
experienced from Bruce's, like, people that have come from Bruce's community.
yeah.
um yeah,
No, well,
it's
I'm not
fun. We can talk, and
exactly the community of Bruce, because I sometimes I just don't make it in time to watch. Then I
yeah,
rewatch it, and I just found it so cool and interesting and fantastic, because I was also trying to see something with my small telescope, but
yeah,
what he found, that was just incredible. But I had the feeling, and all the information I was collecting, told me already there is somebody up there,
mhm,
and of course everything is suppressed. But what I'm trying to say is that it is very important to stay open to everything. So
yes,
that's why I would never judge people about their belief,
yeah,
and it because you can learn so much by listening
yeah.
to other people, and
I
that is
sorry,
no,
finish your
no,
thought,
no.
Jaw. I had like, for me, the only time I see it as where I will judge the person, um, is just based on the Bible passages. And so let's say somebody, because I had spoken about Christ consciousness, which is basically Eastern Enlightenment and painted with Christian terminology, which is fine. Like, I had books with Deepak Chopra talking about Christ consciousness. This was a belief that I thought was, this is the accurate representation of what they are actually meaning in the Bible. So I followed that. What I was saying at one point in the video, and it was that, okay, if I am following the gospel that is in the Bible, it says to be careful of people, not that have different beliefs or are just unbelieving of that. That's fine. That's just okay, fine. It's not evil in and of itself. But I've had experience with people from another community, and what they say is all they do is try and break a Christian's faith, saying it's false. And I've had an experience with these people,
Well,
and it
that's
says Antichrist, the spirit of Antichrist, does two things. It will try and destroy the true gospel, the true Jesus, and then it will give another Jesus. And these people will not just be like, "Oh, I believe this" and stuff. They will be hostile. They'll be aggressive towards it. And this is one of the videos where I said, "Well, we have our unique spirit, each one of us. I believe that our human spirit that we have is somewhat blind to the divine, and I kind of I believe, yeah, there is a relationship that has been broken, and that's why we are many people searching, but always in doubt whether it is or not. And I experienced that. And then after, so these people, they would come after, and they became like trolls on the thing. So I had made a video about Christ consciousness being Antichrist spirit, because the spirit of the age, they talk about, if to don't sleep with a harlot, don't sleep with a prostitute, because the two become one. And I think it's like, yeah, we have our unique spirit. Christians say that if we go through Jesus Christ and acknowledge that he has repaired the relationship, that the Holy Spirit can come, and then it testifies in our ear. And this is the union that Christians speak about. But there's a
yeah,
warning that there's also evil spirits or deceiving spirits, and
of
with
course.
and in Christianity they say those are the spirit of the Nephilim, of those giants. Once they died, their spirit, because they were abominations, they roamed the earth. And when I was had problems with alcohol, and you know how hard stuff it's called, spirits.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I believe that there are pharmakia, there are substances, ayahuasca, DMT, various things,
Wow.
and alcohol. I think that is a chemical key that opens up the barrier between the spirit world and the earthly
That
world.
that's
And
why it called spirit. You know
that's it, yeah. And I
that.
think that, that alcoholic eventually that becomes
Well,
blacked
not
out,
not
not
overdoing
just
it.
alcohol, all drugs, or
Ju-
many of the mind altering drugs. But like I experienced, like you wake up, you don't remember what you did, then people tell you what you did. And I feel like those are the evil spirits that if you do certain things, you break your protective barrier, they enter and they live through you, because they enter your temple. And I do believe, though, that there is an antichrist spirit that is going to become more and more present, and we can see this in all the weird stuff that we're seeing in the world. These ideologies where you well, I don't want to say it on YouTube because but uh,
Yeah, I just
you
forgot because I only watch Rumble, and then you can say everything.
no, that's it. But you know what I mean? The ideologies that are being pushed
It's
on children, the
of course,
surgeries that they're receiving.
crazy stuff. That's the
Yeah,
only time when I totally freak out. That
yeah.
makes me really angry because these children cannot protect themselves against that. And
No, that's a spirit. That's an evil spirit that is
wow,
is
that is
coming
very
upon the earth.
evil. This
What what,
is phew.
what do you think about, like, we the new world order, call it the Great Reset, or everything? I really feel that things are going to speed up, and I'm very, well, pessimistic when it comes to people
Oh,
thinking, "Oh, we're waking up. The population is starting to know what they're trying to do," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know, but I think we're in a situation where they've already thought about that, and they have way more technology, even just the frequencies that they can shoot at us without even bullets." And we
sure.
like, and I'm like, no, I think that bad times are coming. I think that it's like
Well,
Revelation. What are your thoughts on the coming future? Do you believe, like, in this one world government that will imprison us, or what are your ideas about the new world order? And
Well, I can tell you. First, I want to say that you are much more powerful than you think.
yeah,
To protect yourself, you just have to trust. And I was writing to you that we can talk about later about the I am, how important that is.
yeah,
Is yeah, because I am healthy.
hmm,
That means I am healthy. There is no discussion. There is no word in between. There is no
hmm,
disbelief. There is no, you trust. You know. And I am means that this is the Holy Spirit. This is the being. And when you realize that you are the I am, you are part of it. So you also the I am means use the word I am. When you say, oh, I'm not feeling good, that
yeah,
you just pull it towards you.
yeah,
It's like I'm healthy, I'm lucky,
yeah,
i I am rich. I don't know, a lot of
yeah. I
people
know what you
need
mean.
to be rich,
No, yeah,
so
I agree with that. Yeah,
this is very important, that why Jesus said that I am the I am is
yeah,
because of that he realized that he is the I am. He is that son of God, you as
yeah,
you would call it. And so because of a lot of people are waking up, and from many people we wouldn't even know they're woken up, because either they have no internet, they have no television,
yeah,
they don't communicate to us. But
yeah,
what I see around me, or also younger people, they have no interest in that BS
hmm,
from the web. And I can see they try to force it on us, but because they force it and they have to push and they have to speed up, because there is a time limit, uh, that actually wakes people up even more. And that's
hmm,
what I personally believe it will happen. Maybe not in 6 months or 12 months,
yeah,
but I'm pretty sure, and I'm also very sure, certain that we're not alone. And
yeah. Sure. Yeah, we
that
can agree on that.
all the military, in the world also understands what happens here, and that this is a very old plan. It's like
Yeah,
thousands of years old. These blood sacrifices they did with, yeah, we
yeah,
cannot really talk about all that, but you know what I'm trying to say.
yeah, yeah.
This so in thousands of years ago, and it's still ongoing.
Hmm,
And there are also good forces here on Earth. Yeah,
yeah,
that's a fantastic stone.
yeah. That's crazy. And
Yeah,
they say that they can tell where that stone is. Like that stone was far away. It's
yeah,
like this has to be, well, first of all, it kind of fits if there's giants of such stature that the Bible's saying, for them they could technically move that stuff together. That's seems to be how big these people are. But
yeah.
again, I think that the giants were the workers, and the fallen angels, these or I'll call interdimensional beings, were the brains. They brought all of this, the laser precision cutting, and
High
you know
tech,
yeah.
absolute high tech.
What's your thoughts about deep under the earth? Because there's many people believe hollow earth. Even
Well,
in the Bible, it talks about the abyss, like literally being opened up, and these demonic like locusts come upon the earth. I just want to show you before, because over here, these are all cultures that speak of flood events, like a flood story,
well,
and
the flood is real. The flood was real.
yeah.
That for certain.
And
That
look at
there's
here, it says there may be a second massive ocean deep beneath the surface, and it shows here, but you see all the fractures, the fault lines, these
yeah,
fractures all throughout it, and you could imagine that the earth cracking open, and I think this is what the Bible is speaking about. the fountains of the deep, like in Genesis, it says the same day were all the fountains of the deep broke open. We always hear about the rain. It's like, yeah, the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
majority, and you could
Well,
imagine that, like you could see it, like here's the crack, and then you have both continents on each side. Often there's mountains on these edges from the earth being
yeah,
pushed
yeah,
up.
yeah. No,
But yeah,
I
go
heard
ahead.
about sweet water under under the earth crust, or in the earth, or how you say. And well, people just it doesn't make sense to me if you think logically. It can rain a lot, but where does the water come from? It must have come from the oceans. So
Yeah,
it cannot rain more than water comes from the ocean. So then how does that happen? It must be from the inside
yeah,
that the water levels rise. It can rain like 40 days or 100 days.
yeah,
It doesn't. It does. The water level cannot rise because that what comes down came from below. So that
yeah,
doesn't make sense. So the only logical theory is that the water comes from the inside of the earth, and that there are living creatures, that we have hollow is not hollow like you would think, but it's like a Swiss cheese, you could say.
yeah.
There are tunnels, and there are living creatures.
I think so. Yeah,
I am very certain they are live creatures, because it just makes sense. I bought the book. I had to search and buy it in an antique bookshop, because
yeah,
it was no longer. It was from 1890 or something, and it's
yeah.
from a man called Edward Balverleiten, and he has written that book in a novel, as a
Hmm.
novel,
Yeah.
because yeah, for that time it's like a Jules Verne.
Hmm.
And he was describing like there was an archaeologist, and he fell into a hole. So
Hmm.
but when they were digging, and yeah, he tried to get out. So, and he was walking, and then it started to getting a little bit more bright, and the illumination was actually from like algae or something like that at the wall.
Yeah,
And then he saw fields of how you say, corn and that, but very high. And then he came
yeah,
down to a river, and then there were people, but they were like 8 feet tall.
yeah,
And they let them live for a couple of months. They explained to him that they're living very long, thousands of years or longer,
yeah,
living underneath the earth. And but one day they will come back to the
yeah,
surface. And that book calls The Coming Race. So yeah, it's a fantastic story, but it's not just one story. There was a Norwegian guy, that's also a book. He was fishing with his son,
hmm,
and they were tired. They fell asleep, and they woke up like also in a river, but they
okay.
didn't realize that they entered the North Pole. And yeah, I know that sounds crazy,
No,
but
no, maybe. I,
but uh, so they were also met. They also met people there, and they could communicate with them. Then they later on they brought them back, but they didn't stay for long. They just were there for a couple of hours. So they saved them and brought them back to Norwegian or
yeah,
Norway or Iceland. I don't know, remember exactly. So, and the funny part is, when I was one day, it was in the 80s.
yeah,
There, I did not know about the North Pole and South Pole openings, or
yeah.
any
I'm
kind of
interested in
that. So, but we have in Germany there is a magazine that calls Der Stern, the Star. So,
that.
and I was with the doctor and waiting, and okay, another magazine, and the front page was the Earth from the top, from the North Pole, and you saw a black hole, and
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
was like, what the
Yeah.
heck is that? So, and later on, when I when I started to have internet and to dig into that, and then you have Google Maps, and it's always cloudy. How is this possible?
Yeah,
It's
I know they don't want to show it.
come on, yeah, of course not. I also
There's,
wouldn't do it.
there's definitely something in the South Pole, the North Pole as well. I'm open to that. I the Bible clearly says that there's a star that'll fall with the keys to the abyss. So it says star, but in Christianity, stars can be symbolic of angels. And so at first it says a star falls from heaven to open up the abyss, but then further along you see an angel with the keys of the abyss. So I from a Christian perspective, there is going to be a battle on earth where it's the spirit world and the earthly world, is brought as above, so below kind of thing.
Yeah,
And it seems to, if you take it literally, that yeah, there's stuff that is under the earth that's been there for a very long time that
for
will be
forever.
released. So I mean, we're talking about either angels or other beings coming from the star systems from far the heavens, and then after you also have, when they descend, you have this opening up of the earth with some pretty crazy creatures falling upon the earth. Bringing it back though, the World Economic Forum and stuff, like, do you think that, because I'm making predictions, they're not very unique. I think that there are many people that are aware of the work of Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum,
Everybody
the
knows him.
Illuminati, the bloodlines, all of this. But I'm
Before you finish that,
yeah, go ahead.
let me ask a question.
Sure.
When I was 15 years old and I read a book about the Illuminati, how many people do you think knew about the Illuminati in 1984, 85?
Well, a lot less people. I mean, we didn't have this.
Next to nobody. Next
Yeah,
to
no.
nobody. And
Or it was a
it's
rumor,
it was
Oh
just
yeah,
a conspiracy theory. Like the only guy who was talking about that stuff is an English guy.
yeah.
What is his name? He was a commentator or a reporter, a blonde guy. Ah,
David
well,
Icke.
David Icke,
David
exactly.
Icke.
So
Yeah,
he brought the books out. He was the only guy, and they ridiculed him and like, yeah, he's a lunatic. So
yeah,
he was the only guy talking openly about it, and look now, we are 2023. Uh, I think nearly everybody knows about the Illuminati and the
yeah,
Rothschilds and all that stuff.
yeah, yeah.
So that is my question. Do you think they wanted to get that out, or do you think they just couldn't hide it any longer?
No, I think that everything is planned. I think that until technology had increased to a point where it can be used against us, digital currency, surveillance, and things like this now, and the weaponry and stuff like that. Um, that's what Noah Harari said. He's a historian that speaks on the World Economic Forum. He goes, all of
Yeah,
these dictators
the crazy
did
guy.
not have the technology to accomplish what they are trying to do. And now he's talking, and this is talking open. So they're so open about it. And it's because I think that, no, they're in control. They're using crisis. So they create a crisis, and that's for a purpose. All of these crises that are coming upon us seem to benefit more and more this, allegory, these kings of the earth. In the Bible, it says in the end times that the kings of the earth will deceive the nations, and it's translated sorcery. But if you go to the Strong Concordance, I use Blue Letter Bible, and you click, what's the Greek word? Pharmakia. So I don't think that medicine itself is evil, but it can be used as evil,
No, the
and
medicine, not no, but
you know,
what they created, the that stuff, what they gave to the people,
yeah,
this is very evil. and
Yeah,
this is a plan.
I think that everything is planned. It's like you said, the Illuminati are or any of these secret societies. I think that there's different perhaps names and branches. I think that they are unified, and I think that China is a very perfect example of what they want the whole world to become. I think they
Of
have
course,
facial recognition. They know where you are at all times. Digital currency, so they know every single little thing that you
you
purchase
have a
or do with
mobile. You have a
money.
mobile.
Eh?
You have a
Yeah,
mobile.
so they're
They
tracked.
know they know everything about you.
Yeah,
They
that's
don't
it.
need this technology.
And I think that even like these cars, look, in Canada, they're doubling the mortgage rates. Okay, that means
Ooh,
it'll cost you twice as much in taxes. That makes it almost impossible for any kid to leave his mother's house to have a job and to get that. They want to take the land away from us. They want to take everything away from us and say, you don't need a TV, you don't need a fridge to own. We'll rent it out to you. It will be a service. You don't need a car. You know what? They'll say like, how you know how long your car is not used? No, no. We'll have Ubers where you have your app, and then after you just call a car, and then you don't have to repair it. It's a shared economy they call it. But then what happens is it once we have no more car and we rely on a service, okay, that might be very, very efficient and stuff like that. They're going to make it look, very, very good. Then I want to do like we did in Ottawa. We want to do a protest against, things that we don't agree with. Then you call the car, it shows up, and you put a destination, but it has already tracked that there is an attempt for a gathering there, and you'll be
yeah.
in the car. It'll say at this time that location cannot be accessed. So they'll control us with that. They're
Or
trying to
no Uber
kill the
available.
farms. Like my friend Garland Farms from JD, from Garland Farms. These are people that have had the land for generations, and they're farmers, and they do regenerative farming, grassland. They're going to squish these people to such a desperate state where they sell the land. So we won't have any more stuff. It's like that saying, you'll have no more privacy, you'll own nothing, and you'll be happy. That World Economic
And you
article.
eat bugs. Yeah.
They
Well,
even, yeah, go ahead. Go.
that look, I live here in the Netherlands, and they want to take all the land from 3,000 farmers. We are the
Yeah.
greatest producer of food here in Europe,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
maybe even bigger. But that's not the point. It's the point is they couldn't do it, not yet.
Yeah.
And do you know that the now it's I think 6 weeks ago the Dutch government has fallen.
Yes. See,
No more.
they're hiding. What happens is they bombard us with social media feeds. Okay, so I
Yeah.
don't know what's happening in this country. I found out in Israel they're trying to topple as well the government. Weren't you guys the ones where the farmers were throwing a
Oh
manure?
yeah, it was funny.
but but we
Yeah.
hardly saw anything of that. So
Yeah.
it's like I'm in my little bubble here, feeling like isolated. Oh, this is happening here. I hear a lot about the States, but I never heard about Israel. Besides hearing one thing, oh, look, the farmers are revolting and they're putting manure. That's all we hear. So there's tons. I feel like the whole world, they are trying to completely destroy the current paradigm so that they can do this great reset, or whatever you want to call it, new world order. The Christian would say the beast system. And I was showing here, this there is not Christianity.
No,
Like,
no, no, no. These are the
this is the great
most evil
harlot, the
creatures.
false prophet, the beast. And it says that that the Antichrist, or the governmental, political, economic aspect of this evil empire that wants to dominate and enslave us, in my opinion. One, it will use the false prophet, this church, But when
The
it says in
Vatican.
Revelation, then it will turn and destroy this church. But this is satanic. Like this
Of
is in the
course.
Vatican. I don't understand how Catholics, because they do believe as well, like in Jesus and stuff like that, but they add Mary, they add the Pope as power, all sorts of extra pagan stuff. But like what, it blows my mind when I hear somebody and they appear to be Christian, they're talking about Jesus, and then I find out they're Catholic, and I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, but like if my church, I show up and they have this, I'm turning around and running away. I mean, it is in your face,
It's
laughing at us as if like,
This is blatant. And you know there is a black pope in
yeah,
the Vatican Church, and you know also there is a gray pope.
no, I don't know
This
much about that.
this gray pope is the highest authority from the Vatican,
Okay,
and his name is, I think the last name is Orsini, and that is one of the 13 families. They actually never appear in the open. They're bigger than Illuminati. They are bigger than the Rothschilds. Of Rothschilds
yeah,
is maybe part of them, but this is originally 13 families in Italy. They still these bloodlines are still exist, and they still are there, and they still have the power. But
yeah,
there's a lot of things going on, and like you said, you don't hear nothing from the Netherlands. Even I was watching Rumble. I was in the same time, yet now you call it X, before it was Twitter. A Dutch guy said, "Hey, you know, the government has fallen," and I'm like, "What?" Because I
yeah,
don't watch television, and then I check Rumble. So this is an American. Rumble
yeah,
is, I think, a Canadian company, but in
yeah,
seated in the States.
yeah,
And so I watch all these American guys. They're bringing all the news, and then they say, "Yeah, Dutch government has fallen." And they also showed the pictures. I didn't see here nothing in the news. Nobody. My friend in Germany, he said he saw nothing. My friend in Germany said, "What? Your government has fallen? We have," and he is watching television. He said there was nothing in the news, nothing
no,
in the newspaper,
yeah,
absolutely nothing.
yeah,
So, and because of that, I'm very positive, because if they have to hide all that,
yeah,
then they are not in control. That's what that is my logic. If you have
yeah,
to hide all that, you know,
yeah.
when you guys were like, how long you were there? Like a week or 10 days in front of the parliament, or how you call that
Oh
place?
yeah, it was a couple of weeks because
A
I
couple of weeks.
yeah,
It
a
didn't
month
came.
max, 4 weeks maximum.
If I wouldn't had Rumble, I would not have known about that.
Yeah,
Or
I went
Telegram.
I went one day. I went the thank goodness the one day during the weekend, uh the weekend before the cops were became militarized and just kind of like beat them back
Yes,
and sprayed them and
totally.
stuff like that. My other concern is, have you ever heard of spermicidal corn?
Nope.
There, I'll just pop it up. Spermicidal corn. Okay, so obviously it's corn that is genetically modified. Here, I'll show
Like
you.
most of the stuff they
But
give
the
to
problem
us.
is that you know that they're trying to centralize the food system. They want a one world
Sure,
food
sure.
system. They want a one world everything, one world currency,
Of course,
one world
that's that's their
spiritual. Watch
wet
this though.
dream. That's their wet
Yeah,
dream.
yeah, yeah. Well, watch this though. Uh, spermicidal corn. Here, yeah, you should be able to see it. A small
Yeah,
California
yeah,
tech company announced the development of a genetically engineered corn. So we're talking about food here, which
sure.
contained a spermicide, which made the semen of men who ate it sterile. So this is
No,
my
thank you.
concern. Okay, they want to remove the real food, in my opinion. Like I'm big on nutrition. I do the keto and fasting stream right on Mondays. So
Uh-huh.
I know that they are what we need animal. absorbable, good quality animal protein. We want the fat because it has all the vitamins, and we need the cholesterol. So they've already done propaganda for 70 years trying to get us to eat more plants and more products made from plants. The middle section with all the seed oils and the sugar and
The-
all this stuff. But imagine now, because we have to save the planet, they'll say, and this
sure.
food system. Hey, what happens? They could add this. They could add varying amounts of the spermicidal corn, because everything has corn in it when you look at the ingredients, and they
Sure.
don't have to kill off all of us, but they can control generation by generation just with modified food. Have you ever heard of a medicinal egg?
No.
Okay, here, medicinal egg. Researchers have genetically modified chickens, that lay eggs that contain what? Drugs
Oh,
for
no way.
arthritis and some cancers. The drugs are 100 times cheaper to produce. So you literally have this egg, this medicinal egg, where it is genetically modified, and once you eat it,
Wow.
it combines into a medication. So I don't want them to have control of my food supply, because I know that they want to depopulate. They're openly saying that,
Of course, man.
so we're in a very dangerous spot. I see the propaganda about what food is good and what food is bad. They're completely wrong. It's flipped upside down. I see the genetic. I see the farmers that are family-owned farms getting leveled. I see everything getting concentrated into one central thing, and that's what I see is when everything becomes one, whether it's a United Nations or some kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
union,
That's what they
uh,
try.
then I think this beast will come. Then there will be a one world government, and then
Yeah.
that man of sin that we talk about, the Antichrist, will come, and then after he's going, well, if I look at my at prophecies, there's 7 years. The first 3.5 years, because of the the chaos that the Illuminati and these people have purposely done to create chaos, to make humanity so desperate that just give us a solution. Like, we're fed up with this. He
Mhm.
promises peace, and it's funny because Jesus Christ had about 3.5 years of ministry. What he did, he was given 3.5 years, and in the prophecy, this once this system is in place, then there is a man who is supposed to be empowered by Satan himself, the Antichrist. He has 3.5 years as well to wreak havoc. It's almost like, well, they let the Messiah have 3.5 years. Well, Satan will have his 3.5 years. Um, but
Well,
I'm concerned about the food. The food, I know they're trying to screw
well,
us.
I think they screw since a long time with the food, and a lot more than we know. But also, look, for example, I don't eat much bread, or I have weeks there I don't eat no bread
Yeah,
at all,
yeah,
and sometimes a little bit rice, and that's it. And I eat chicken and fish and all that kind, and green
mhm,
vegetable and fruits,
yeah,
and I feel fine. And I didn't feel so good if I had everyday bread in the
yeah.
morning,
Me
in the
too.
afternoon, in the night. It's just too much.
Yeah.
It's okay some once in a while, but just when you get older, also you don't need so much anymore. So you eat a
Yeah.
lot less also.
Well, it's
But
healthier, right?
yeah, definitely. But
Eat.
when I, what I want to say is, what I have learned, that what we are is, well, I yeah, I need reading glasses. So what we are is, we are far more powerful that they led us to believe. That is why I think the Bible is very good. It's a very good book. It has a lot of knowledge, but also you don't forget who has written the Bible. Humans.
Yeah, where we say humans that were under the influence of the
Inspired
Spirit. Yeah,
under the
that's what I
guidance of,
believe.
yeah, sure. But how is it possible if that book is written by humans,
Yeah,
that the Catholic Church, the leaders from the Catholic Church in
yeah,
the Vatican are
yeah,
such evil people?
yes. Well, like
So
if you look in there's a prophecy in Revelation. It's the chapter 2. It's the seven churches that Jesus is pretty much saying, I'm pleased with you in this respect, but I have this against you. And he goes through what Christians also believe is, yes, it's seven letters to actual churches that were in Turkey, present Turkey, but Asia when
yeah,
it was the Roman Empire. And the seven churches are the seven ages that the church goes through. And you'll see the first one is Ephesus. This is the apostolic church, and you can see that what he's saying. Now, the apostolic church is done. That age is no longer with us. Then
yeah,
after you have Smyrna, and this was the persecuted church where the Romans were really still killing all of the Christians. That church age is gone as well. Then you have Pergamum. Sorry, let me share it because it will make more sense. Won't be long. Just let me show you. I thought I was sharing. Here we go. So
not yet.
you see
Now,
it now, right?
yeah,
So
exactly.
this is Revelation 2. So this is the apostolic church. It's gone. It's finished that age. Then we have the persecuted church. Shortly after the apostles, they continued. They were being killed by Rome. Then you have Pergamum. If you hear it, you see the marriage of religion and politics. This is Constantine, when the Romans totally switch and all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, we've been persecuting you. Now actually we're going to adopt it. But when this joined here, this was Constantine. This was still not Vatican. It was, but it was not a good thing to combine. Okay, this is the description here of
Yeah.
Thyatira. Now, this age as well is gone. Today, there are three kind of churches. There is Thyatira. Now, this is the Catholic Church. This is the Vatican. And let's just read and see what it sounds like. Because within Christian, the Bible, not Protestant, Orthodox, within the Bible, it describes the churches. Now, this one, let me just read it quick and you'll see this what Jesus thinks about the Vatican and what's going to happen in the future. It says, these are the words of the Son of God, whose eyes are like blazing fire and whose feet are like burnished bronze. I know your deeds, your love and faith. Because at the start, the Vatican, there were Christian saints, there were people like that were not in the Vatican. They had monks all over the place. The monks didn't even
Sure,
know. Like
sure.
Martin Luther was ecstatic to go see the Vatican, and that's where he became the Protestant. He was horrified because he knew his Bible and he was like, oh, look at this.
Yeah.
So, but this church is still here. So it says, I know your deeds, your love and your faith, your service and your perseverance, and that you are now doing more than you did before. He goes, nevertheless, I have this against you. You tolerate the woman Jezebel. That's the whore and the harlot, who calls herself a prophet. By her teaching, she misleads many servants into, we got the Vatican and the Catholics, sexual
Oh
immorality.
my goodness.
Also, eating of food sacrificed to idols. Every time they do their altar thing, where Jesus just said, hey, when you guys are together, break bread as a memory and a reminder that I gave my body on the Christ. And here's the wine. Just, remember together that my blood gave the covenant, atone for sin. That's all. It's not magical. They literally turn this host, and they believe that the priest has the power to turn it into the exact flesh and the blood of Christ. So what do they do every Sunday?
This is a
They
blood
crucify
sacrifice.
Jesus over
It's
and over and over instead of
it's
him
a
doing it
blood
once.
sacrifice. You
Yeah.
got it.
So here it says, I have given her time to repent of her immorality, but she's unwilling. And this is still on, he's still waiting, but judgment's coming on the Catholic Church and everyone else. So
Oh,
I
they
will
will
cast her
cease to
on a bed
exist.
of suffering. I will make those who commit adultery with her suffer intensely unless they repent of her ways. I will strike her children, the followers, dead. Then all the churches will know that I am he who searches the hearts and minds, and I will repay each of you according to your deeds. Now I say to the rest of you in Thyatira, in the Catholic Church, to you who do not hold to her teachings and have not learned literally Satan's so-called deepest secrets. Look at all the snakes and the satanic imagery, and it looks. This is a perfect description of the Catholic Church. So we knew 2,000 years ago that this would be a church age, and it goes on and on. And then after you have right here, Sardis is the Protestants. He doesn't have very good to say as well about the Protestants. And then there's the Church of Philadelphia. These are what we would say the real believers that are still like the apostolic church, and they're out in China, they're out in Cuba, spreading the word, getting killed. And the
Mhm.
last one here is if you read this, I won't waste time, but this is the modern church, the church, the mega churches, the rich churches, the prosperity. Jesus wants you to be rich in this world. The bells, the whistles, the
Well,
music. So this
listen.
helps. It's another thing that helps us understand, at least Christians, from that prophecy. How, like, what is the Catholic Church? Is it Christian? Is it or is not? But I thought that this was interesting. Go ahead, though.
It is very interesting, but what you can see is that it's all about power. It's all about power. The Catholic Church or the
Yeah,
Vatican. This is a power. These guys have a Vatican bank. Come on,
yeah,
don't give me that BS.
yeah,
When you believe, and that is what the Jesus also said, is that if you split a piece of wood, I am there. If you lift
mm,
a stone, I'm underneath. So God, what you call God, what I call the all,
yeah,
it's everywhere. It's in us. It's here. It
yeah,
surrounds us. It's everywhere. The whole universe. It is that
yeah,
is that being,
yeah, yeah.
and you don't need a church with golden windows and all that stuff
No,
to trust and to believe and
mm,
to come together. You can I would rather prefer to have like a small community where people go met each other, like 5 8 people,
yeah,
and they sit together. That's more
yeah.
real.
Like I go to like Baptist church and stuff like that. During COVID, they were doing like 6 services, smaller services and stuff like that. So we didn't close down. And many churches around our area just like that. But what happened was those dead churches, okay, that did
Yeah,
not have the spirit of God really in them, the those that were scattered among them have all concentrated on our church. We're 3 times bigger now. You can so the building itself, nothing. It's a building. It's rock. There's no
well, it
spirituality to the
covers you
building.
from the rain,
But
from
if
the
you
cold.
find, yeah, exactly. But if you find a church that happens to have like, 20, whatever, 15, I don't care, but true believers for Christians with the Holy Spirit, they even say if two, let's say me and you were Christian, uh, there is the Spirit of Christ among us. A church is just the grouping of just two is a church. When that's why I do my morning bread, the one chapter of reading,
Yeah,
um, and that is like Paul says, I'm not there with you in person, but I'm there in spirit, meaning you're on my
exactly,
mind, you're on my
exactly.
heart. So I do like the church that I specifically go to, but I always tell them, I said, it's not necessary. Okay, you can be saved. A Christian can just have a personal experience with Jesus Christ. They can read their own Bible, and that's all they do. What is said is that it's not that, oh, if you don't go and assemble with others, you're not really a Christian. It just says it's beneficial for you. It will help you if you are truly with Christians that are bearing the fruit, right? That are not just I'm a Christian, I believe this, it makes sense in my mind, and off I go, and I'm like
No,
exactly everybody. So that's why for me,
the
the
original idea,
every
just
morning is we have 8 people, and then I find maybe 20, 30 people watch it maybe after, and I'm like, there's a church. That's it.
that's good enough. You don't
Yeah.
need more.
No.
And because it's honest, and when it's
Yeah.
honest, then it doesn't need to be much,
Yeah.
and that is perfect.
Yeah,
So
because like I said, Revelation, the churches, it explains that there's going to be different kind of churches. There's, like I said, there's the Catholic, but the last one is this. It's bells and whistles. He says, you guys think you are rich spiritually, you are naked, you are poor. These are all the churches that are accepting, the rainbow flag things, and just changing, and just like, oh yeah,
holy moly,
get Jesus, he'll give you everything you want in this world. So there are, but at least as a Christian in the Bible, it's been foretold. It was prophetically saying that these buildings, these Protestants, these Catholics, all of this will fall and become corrupt. And I think that many people, Christians, are communicating more one on one. Like, my neighbor's Christian, let's go have a coffee once a week, let's talk. We both leave
perfect.
there inspired, and stuff like that. And it's fun to be with people that are similar in beliefs, because then you can
Yeah,
relax, and then you're like, yes, I know, that's what I think. It's pleasant. That's why I
sure.
go to that building as well, really, because I enjoy it. I really like the people there, but it's not
Like-minded
a necessity.
like-minded people, and it's just a pleasure to be there and to go
Yeah.
there, and so that's look, if I wouldn't have autism, maybe I would also enjoy going to all that people, but
No, I know, like,
mostly I'm just happy with myself, and because I don't want to be a pain in the ass for somebody, because I had a couple of girlfriends, and so my last one, she figured out that I looked at the internet for months and months. Now I know what it is. So then I knew, okay, autism. So now I can live with it. I can laugh about
yeah,
it, and I just I warned my boss at work. Sometimes when you call me and I don't react, it's not that I ignore you. It's just I
yeah,
don't hear you, and
yeah.
and they know now, and so it's a lot easier. So it
I
makes your
mean,
life easier.
nowadays, like a lot of people know about autism. Like, right away, it's like, for me, it's like, oh, autism. I know there's different degrees also there.
Of
Like,
course.
one big thing is, I guess, how you feel in social interactions. There's often, I guess, there is something
Yeah,
that's different.
yeah.
But
Some
you
yeah,
embrace it. It's,
sure,
to
sure.
me, having any challenge and overcoming it, and not allowing it to define you. Because I do know many people with, in my family and stuff. There's a lot of bipolar disorder, and it's the same thing. The bipolar, the brain doesn't work the same way. People can be highly productive when they're on the speedy side, and
Yeah,
then they fall into a depression, and then there's this cycle going on. So that's why I've even done videos for my Monday stream, because a lot of these psych meds, they make you really fat, and I find that that keto, because I think those medications sometimes they really do work. I don't know if a lot of people, they
I
believe
don't know.
like never, like, psych meds can be fixed, but I've seen in my family multiple cycles of this appearing.
Yeah,
Now, we have DNA, we have genes that maybe can make us more vulnerable, maybe to lung problems, to brain problems.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think that it has to manifest, but I think that our environment is so toxic that it kind of activates all of these genes that
Yeah.
are bad,
That's
because I've
that's
seen
possible.
them try and go on and off of medications and stuff like that, and I've seen their lives crumble, and finally they find a medication and they feel good on it. So I know a lot of people are, it's one or the other. It's like, no, so all psych meds, it's evil, or it's not
Well,
necessary.
if you find a natural medicine for as replacement, I would rather prefer
Oh yeah, I would rather.
the natural medicine. Um, Jason, I think in 5 minutes I will just eat
Oh,
something,
yeah, for
and
sure. I was thinking the same thing because I don't want to make things long, and stuff like that.
no, it's
Hey,
just it's very new for me. I enjoyed it a lot, and
yeah, no, I'm glad. I'm glad you came on live.
of
Let's
course,
communicate on email, and let's
yeah.
think of let's say we'll limit it to an hour. Our discussions, an hour and a half, and let's
Ah,
look at topics. Like let's bring a topic up, and
yeah.
for the viewers,
Of
so
course, of course.
like we could do this more often.
Sure. If we find a topic we both like,
Yeah,
or we dig into it, for
yeah.
example.
Yeah,
Well,
because I mean, the I think that there's a lot that can be said about the the World Economic Forum, because people, if they believe in aliens, or they believe they're Christians or whatever, uh, I we all agree about
the
this
West.
coming plague that they're trying to go on us, and I think that should be spoken about a lot
More
more.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Also, I really would try to help. Or no, try doesn't exist, but I really want to help the people to overcome the fear of it, because fear is actually what they use against us. Because if we
I
fear,
agree. Yeah,
when we afraid, we have less power. We
yeah,
are not in our center, you know.
yeah,
When you trust, like the church, originally says, if you trust in me, if you trust in God,
mm,
you will be safe.
mm,
But you can also use that for yourself, because you are far more powerful. But we have to talk about that, how that actually uh, is real, what the
yeah,
Bible says.
yeah.
It's real. You are like a God. That's not blasphemy. That is not making God look less worthy. No, but because you have the Spirit in you, you are like God. And that
Well, we
is
say in the image of God. We're made in the image of
in the
God.
image
Yeah.
yeah, that's my English,
Yeah.
not
No, no, it's
really.
good. It's good. It's just yeah. The
Yeah, yeah, sometimes I translate from German into English, and that's the way I would say it in German. So that is, I know, not correct
yeah,
in English. But so you understand what I'm saying is that
yeah,
we are that powerful, but they make
yeah,
the average human believe that they have no power.
yeah,
And because of that, and because of they use fear,
yeah,
you're standing in the corner and you think you cannot do nothing. But
yeah,
like you have seen, because the government was very afraid here in the Netherlands, because the farmer said, hey, if you guys go further, hey, next time
yeah,
we go even further. We just not we
yeah,
do not only stop the cars on the road, we come to you, we visit you.
yeah. Truckers and farmers, don't mess with them. They have,
You know, the inspiration came
yeah,
actually from Canada, because what we
yeah,
have seen here, from you guys, that was an inspiration for the guys here. So they
yeah,
were, and even the normal people. There was a Sunday they were all going with the normal cars
yeah,
behind the farmers, and it was ten thousands of people in the street, and everything was blocked. And the government understood the message, I
yeah.
think, and
They know the power. I agree. We're 99%, and we have this, like Margaret said, 1%, and we are many. And I think that's why they're trying to seclude us. Where I don't know what's happening over there where you are. You don't know what's happening in Israel and stuff,
that's
because
exactly
it's true.
exactly
We have power. One of the other things is they're trying to hit us on every level, because I mean, obviously, I'm big on nutrition, and to remove all animal food and to eat only plants for extended periods of time. It doesn't give you what you require to be cognitively sharp, and a lot of the cults and stuff like that. That's why they do like like extreme fasting, and then after. But when they eat after, they're not eating food to build them; they're eating plants, and it slows down the brain, because the brain is 60% fat, 20% cholesterol. So if you're only feeding these plants, the population, their sterility, their fertility goes way down. We see on YouTube girls, vegan channels talking about losing their periods. And men, we look at studies, they're acknowledging every decade it's dropping the testosterone percentage. Me at
Yeah.
a 30-year-old might have less testosterone than a back in the day a 60-year-old man.
Ah,
So,
this is
so the
this
food
is
is another weapon. They are going to use food. I'm telling you, as a weapon. But anyways, I'll let you go. I don't
right. It
let you
was
go eat.
great, and
Yeah, we're
thank you
doing
very
this again.
much.
We'll do this again. The next time you come on, what I'd like to do is we can go through. Let me just show just before I kick you off. Um, this guy. If you haven't listened to this guy,
I
Yuval
did.
Noah,
I
do
had.
you know him? Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think the viewers would really be interested if we do like a small clip, like 10 minutes. We listen. It will open up a lot of dialogue that we can do, and
Perfect.
try and encourage if there's anybody on Bruce's channel, and maybe encourage them to come and have a
To
discussions
come
on this.
over. Well,
Yeah, yeah,
I go Friday on, and normally I can make the morning show that is around 6 or 7 o'clock
yeah.
where I live, and when I'm on, I let the people know, and
Yeah.
so if they like, they can join. Sure.
Awesome. Cool, man.
Yeah,
Hey, Kurt,
great.
I want to thank you very much.
Oh,
And we're going to do this.
my pleasure.
All right. All right. See
Hey,
you soon. Bye
hey,
bye.
bye bye.
All right. Cool. Yeah. I talked to a lot of people, and there was a young gentleman that was Christian, and I thought that that it was I was communicating with him. So I'm sorry to Kurt for not for saying, oh, he's a Christian and stuff like that. I had the wrong person in mind, because you talk to somebody, you send an email, they respond to you, and then you kind of forget, like, who was that? What's the guy's name on YouTube and stuff? So I apologize. I apologize, Kurt, for at the start saying, yeah, Kurt's a Christian and stuff like that. That was my error. Looking through here. I know there's not a lot of people because Bruce, I believe, is streaming, but hopefully some people will look at this. I'm going to change it. Probably do the daily bread and maybe cut this into a discussion with Kurt, so that somebody can look at the daily bread quick, and somebody can look at this. I'll see how I splice it up. Maybe I won't. I don't know. So we go through everything, and I want to finish off with this over here. I want to listen to what the World Economic Forum is going to decide for all of us, how things are going to go down. Okay, so this is a short version of much longer talks. I suggest that if you want to know what's happening, that they are no longer hiding in the shadows. They are blatantly saying, this is our plan. This is what we plan to do. And it doesn't look like a very good plan for us. Looks like it benefits a very small amount. Here you go. Then we finish.
We live in a world of never-ending change. As we progress and introduce new technologies and innovations, the way we interact with society and even the planet around us will change. Dr. Yuval Noah Harari, macro historian, professor, and best-selling author of *Sapiens*, as well as one of the world's most innovative and exciting thinkers, has a few hypotheses of his own on the future of humanity. He examines what might happen to the world when old myths are coupled with new godlike technologies, such as artificial intelligence and genetic engineering.
So this here right away for me is the prophecy where Jesus says, as in the days of Noah, so will it be at the coming of the Son of Man. And this is right here. I didn't pre-watch this. I just chose it because it was 10 minutes. I'm not sure if this guy is viewing all of this as positive. I'm not viewing it as positive at all. But let's see what information we can get out of 10 minutes here.
We are probably one of the last generations of Homo sapiens. Within a century or two, Earth will be dominated by entities that are more different from us than we are different from Neanderthals or from chimpanzees. Because in the coming generations, we will learn how to engineer bodies and brains and minds.
You see, so we will become the commodity. They want to engineer brains, bodies, minds. Now, if you're looking at a human, let's say through Christianity or Judeo-Christian perspective, we are all made in the image of God, though we're in a fallen state, and there's a correction that is going to be done and has been done, in my view, by Jesus. But we are in the image of God. So I see that, first of all, the idea of we came from a primordial soup of molecules and stuff like that. And eventually, they can't explain, but inorganic matter became conscious. And now you have the first simplistic cell, which is the origin of all the complex body systems. This is pretty much Darwinian evolution. The Big Bang, remember, that explains that, well, nothing created everything, and that time, space, and matter at one point did not exist, but during the singularity exploded into the space in which matter and the fabric of time can manifest itself. So right away, for me, I say to myself, what makes more sense? Nothing created everything, or something created everything? And if you look at what that something, because I think it is a something, it is not a nothing, created time, then you have to say that this source that created time, that at one point time did not exist, is outside of time. It's in eternity. It's eternal. So it is before time happened, as well as matter. If at one point the elements and all the matter that we see in the universe did not exist, then whatever the source is has to be immaterial. So once we start, and then the vastness expanse of space, showing a manifestation of that source, which pervades, is omniscient, is everywhere. We know that God, it says, in him we live and have our being. Now, I don't limit God to his creation. That's pantheism, I believe, where everything is God. I'm God in a way. I don't believe that anymore. But I believe that, of course, that God is omniscient, is all-seeing, and he pervades everything. The source, I call God, is outside of the creation, but as well is able to manifest itself and pervade all throughout the system. And that God that is outside the system, that pervades inside the system, I believe as well can enter history and enter humanity to do certain things that he requires. I really do believe that this is a story about paradise lost and paradise regained, and that the source, the Most High that is outside, we know that because he created this, we can analyze, examine, and we do this in science. We go further and further and further into the cell, and we see how complex that it is. It has more complexity than a city. It's like a little microcosm in there of intelligence. So that's kind of what I see. But if you're coming through the idea that no, there was no purpose to Earth, things just happened to be fine-tuned and allowed life to spring. But we were soup. We're very simple molecules. We all come from that. So this is evolution, right? Darwinian evolution. Does a bacteria and a virus, and I've said this many times, does a bacteria and a virus that invades somebody when I'm working at the hospital, I don't view the bacteria or virus as good or evil. It's just a virus. That viruses do this. They're trying to live, they're trying to expand, and it causes things that are not good on us, perhaps, but they are not evil. Okay, viruses and bacteria, they do not have any moral accountability. They have no moral agency. I look through all the animal kingdom. When a tiger eats a gazelle, the tiger is not evil. The tiger is doing what tigers do. And when a shark, goes and bites off somebody's leg, I don't see, well, that was morally wrong of Mr. Shark to do that. No. So all organisms, from the microscopic organisms right up to every other created animal, none of them are held to a moral law, a moral accountability. And then all of a sudden we get man that was created, by nothing, many materialists say, man that was at one point, our great grandfather was Campbell's primordial soup. We see that philosophically there's no moral agency. Why all of a sudden are humans held to a moral accountability? And though, we perhaps do not know the law of God that I see in the Old Testament and the New Testament, we have the law of God written in our hearts, meaning we have a conscience. So even if we appear at one point before the judge, he will say, you broke the law. I didn't know about this law. He goes, yes, you have a law within your heart that you have broken. And that's supposed to, our conscience, control us. It's the image of God allows a compass, a moral compass. So atheists can be moral people, but they have no philosophical grounds to rationally say why morality is real or not. And that becomes dangerous, because then after you could say, well, morality is what is the best for the planet. Morality is what is best for all of humanity. So if they do a moral calculation without God, okay, then they can say it is moral to remove these people. It is moral to sterilize humanity for the planet. It is moral to do, and these things mean that each individual person, okay, their dignity can be stepped on for the benefit of the totality. Is very dangerous. This is a genocidal view. They have already corrupted the image of man. They made us think that we come from soup. And they've made us believe that the universe is has no real purpose, that we have to find our purpose. So it is from this ideology, when we remove God from the picture, we see that we ourselves become God. This here, they are spitting on the most complex and amazing creation, man, Adam, the complexity inside of the body. And they criticize it, they spit on it, they say, no, we can do a better job. They'll transhumanism will fix this, we'll make man into that. And I believe that this is a corruption of the image of God. I think this is exactly what they were trying to do back in the old pre-flood, pre-diluvian state. We see that soon we will become combined with technology. Androids, the Android now will be, in our heads. We'll be able to access everything that we have at our fingertips. They're going to sell it as something that is good. Bionic arms, we see that for now it's beneficial from people that get their leg blown off. They have these, more and more sophisticated bionic connecting with the flesh of the, but then we look in the old times and we see that there was technology back then. Look, those people had very high-tech technology. I agree. What was happening there, the technology will be merged as well now. There's nothing new under the sun. But look at how he speaks of humans as if we're just phones.
Now, how exactly will the future masters of the planet look like? This will be decided by the people who own the data. Those who control the data control the future, not just of humanity, but the future of life itself. Because today, data is the most important aspect.
So do you see, I see very demonic and satanic. Okay, they'll control not only you, your body, what you put into it, what you're allowed to say, what you're allowed to watch, but they are going after, okay, of life itself, okay? Jesus Christ says, I am the truth, the way, and the life. So this, again, is counter Jesus. It's exactly the opposite. It's like, yeah, God, no, we are God. Oh, God says this, no, we're doing that. Like Satan says, I will be like the Most High.
Asset in the world.
And did you notice it also says that those in charge will not be presidents. It will be those who own the data, the power, the technology. And we already know, we see these very powerful people that control the data. Okay. And this is tying in with the phrase in the end of the age, the kings of the earth will deceive the nations with pharmakia, which is translated sorcery. And, I always said, well, there's no real kings. I mean, there's King Charles, and maybe some of the Arab nations have princes and are considered kings and stuff like that. But I said, this is an old book, but no, I think the kings of the earth are the ones who have the true power, the ones that control the nations. We saw all nations just bowing to Fauci and Bill Gates and a few people, all bowing down, listening to one authority. That's a shadow. That's a small glimpse of what will continually escalate.
In ancient times, land was the most important asset. And if too much land became concentrated in too few hands, humanity split into aristocrats and commoners. Then in the modern age, in the last 2 centuries, machinery replaced land as the most important asset. And if too many of the machines became concentrated in too few hands, humanity split into classes, into capitalists and proletariats. Now data is replacing machinery as the most important asset. And if too much of the data becomes concentrated in too few hands, humanity will split not into classes, it will split into different species.
Do you understand? Different species of man. So again, why did Noah, not this guy Noah in the Bible, why was he chosen to repopulate with, I think there were 8 total. It's the same thing, because there were species of humans starting, hybrids, angel human hybrids, them mating with a human. So now that's a different kind. You're starting to have giants, then you're starting to have elongated skulls and all sorts of stuff. As in the days of Noah, so will it be at the coming of the Son of Man. This is why people say, well, they're aliens because they're not angels. Look, they have high technology on them. They have vehicles. And I think that when the angelic realm rebels and descends here, that yes, they will show up with technology. They will know technology. And I just see this idea of the Nephilim that were before the flood, that were giants, then the descendants of the Nephilim after the flood that were not as big and were limited compared to the first generation. I believe that the Nephilim are coming back, but the Nephilim do not have to be giants. The Nephilim it just means Nephal, the fallen ones. Nephilim, they just happen to be giants. But the Nephilim don't have to be giants. They just have to be a hybrid race mixed with humans. And that's why I see all of these alien abduction stories about they're on a ship and they show this is your daughter and she's like a mixed breed with the grays and that. And they've been trying, instead of looking distinct, I think that their attempt is to no, we want to make ourselves look as human as possible. Likely these human or these demigods in a way are already within humanity now, but when they arrive, they want to look as close to us to say we are the ones that have modified you, and we are coming back. They're going, my opinion, I'm concerned that they're going to lie to humanity, promise them immortality through transhumanism, promise them godlike, omniscient, all-knowing powers. If you look at the technology that is happening is able to mimic powers that God has. He's all-knowing. Well, surveillance and data analysis through AI is all-knowing. That he says they'll know you, the AI will know you better than you know yourself. So we have that godlike power that's being created here, that's being pushed forward. The fourth industrial revolution, the technocracy, where man merges with machine. Why? Because in a deceptive way, it's a imitation of what God promises you. God promises eternal life. They promise eternal life through downloading your consciousness into digital information, for example. God is all-knowing. Look at how all-knowing we are, almost just with the internet. It's an imitation. Okay, it's a promise again. So God made us in our image. No, we will make ourselves in our image. We will take control of blind evolution, Darwinian evolution. Look what it created, and there's no purpose. There's no overseer. It's just blind processes. Imagine now us humans, intelligent, what we can do if we take charge of evolution. It's all a deception. It's all very, very alluring. Deceptions appear to be true. When you are deceived, it's because it looked really like it was the truth. These are just my thoughts that are coming out as I watch this.
As technology advances faster than our understanding of it, it will also allow us to upgrade our brains and nervous systems. Connecting our brains directly to the internet also means that hackers will have direct access into our minds. They can steal information from us and modify our beliefs and opinions.
We've reached the point when we can hack not just computers, we can hack human beings and other organisms. There is a lot of...
You see, the image of God is gone. There's no morality. These people are coming from a godless perspective where nothing created everything. So there's no accountability to anything else but themselves. Evolution, death is the hero, because obviously if there's a modification, genetic mutation that's randomly appears, well, all the other ones that are less good have to die off. So evolution is creation through death. Okay, so they have this mind, they have this worldview that there is really no morality. It's subjective. What they're doing, they believe to be subjective, to be subjectively morally good. And this is a godless method where they're treating us like, talking about hacking us like computers. Do you understand? They've removed the dignity, they've removed the image of God, and many people are going to be deceived. Many people want this. Like, they'll be asking for this kind of stuff. And this is part of the mark of the beast. If you don't get with this program, then you can't buy or sell. And I've seen the spirit of man that occurred during the medical crisis that we've lived through for, a good 2-3 years almost strong. What I saw was people that I thought, well, they're very nice people, they're good people. I saw comments that, yeah, well, they shouldn't be allowed to buy food. They don't want to get the medication, then they shouldn't be allowed in the grocery stores. Oh yeah, well, you know what? They didn't want to get that medication. Well, now they're sick. They shouldn't be allowed to get intensive care treatment. Okay, so they're going to change people into species. Okay, so that means that the human species, if now there's a diverse new race, isn't that exactly why the flood came? Do we think that this age of corrupting all of creation, modifying food, modifying humans, modifying animals, do you think that that which led to the first destruction of the world, and is prophesied that the next one will be by fire? Do you think God's going to allow this? Do you think that that how fast this new race can be spread, this CRISPR technology to change things in our genetic code, the book of life that we have, the instruction manual? And do you see how our children are being manipulated into ideologies that they know the older generation perhaps are going to die off? They're going after children. Do you think that God's wrath, the great day of the Lord, will be delayed now that they're literally going after children, and they're having surgeries and they're being injected with medication? And that this again to them is morally good? The minute you take away, okay, the God-given moral lawgiver, then we are all a law unto ourselves. We can say that there's no truth, that you have your truth, that I have my truth, that everything is subjective. Yeah, not good in my books.
Talk these days about hacking computers and email accounts and bank accounts and mobile phones, but actually we are gaining the ability to hack human beings. Now, what do you need in order to hack a human being? You need two things. You need a lot of computing power, and you need a lot of data, especially biometric data, not data about what I buy or where I go, but data about what is happening inside my body and inside my brain. Until today, nobody had the necessary computing power and the necessary data to hack humanity. But this is now changing because of two simultaneous revolutions. On the one hand, advances in computer science, and especially the rise of machine learning and AI, are giving us the necessary computing power. And at the same time, advances in biology, and especially in brain science, are giving us the necessary understanding, biological understanding.
Harrari suggests the possibility that humans are algorithms, and as such, Homo sapiens may not be dominant in a universe where robots and AI will most likely replace us in our...
Do you understand that they just said, to them, you're an algorithm. To them, that's it. They can update whatever they want. They can, there's no morality, and we're humanity, we're nothing special. And if evolution is survival in a way of the fittest, right? They think that they are the fittest. They think that they are the kings of the earth. They think that they are the creators that will take charge. And it says to control life itself. This is a metastatic demonic cancer that will fall upon man. And people who reject this, just like I saw a little bit during the medical crisis that we had, how people were put into deniers, the on-medicated versus the medicated. Oh, the people are conspiracy theory. Families, okay? It shows how easily what we think good people are can turn. I believe that our heart is fallen, that we need to be reborn. I believe that there's many good moral citizens because they have morality in their heart, but that morality can become corrupted through rebellion, and that morality, if you're not going to the source of that morality, then you become the god of your own morality. Very different. This is like genocidal foundation. This is the foundation of what genocide can happen. Humans are expendable. we're nothing more than algorithms in fleshy sacks. So if we're just that, then we can easily be used, manipulated, or discarded, all in a way because they'll say subjectively that is good, is moral. Very dangerous.
Our jobs once they become intelligent enough. Although he is hopeful that AI might help us solve many problems, such as healthcare, climate change, poverty, overpopulation, and terrorism, we can no longer be certain about anything, including things that previously seemed fixed and eternal.
You can really summarize 150 years of biological research since Charles Darwin in 3 words. Organisms are algorithms. This is the big insight of the modern life sciences, that organisms, whether viruses or bananas or humans, they are really just...
Doesn't matter. Remember what I just said? If you think that that your great-great-great-great-grandfather was primordial soup, okay, he is saying algorithms, or organisms, whether it's a virus, you're exactly like a virus. You have the same dignity and worth as a virus. Heck, we look at you like you're no different than a banana, okay? Or human beings that are really just, what are we? We're just a bunch of chemicals popping and fizzing in some illusion of an algorithm. Wow. Okay, because if there's an algorithm, there's no problem changing an algorithm, trying to improve it. We're just banana algorithms. Very, very. You don't think that's the foundation of genocide?
Biochemical algorithms, and we are learning how to decipher these algorithms. Now, when the 2 revolutions merge, when the infotech revolution merges with the biotech revolution, what you get is the ability to hack human beings. And maybe the most important invention for the merger of infotech and biotech is the biometric sensor that translates biochemical processes in the body and the brain into electronic signals that a computer can store and analyze.
Yeah, you'll be immortalized.
And once you have enough such biometric information and enough computing power, you can create algorithms that know me better than I know myself. And humans really don't know themselves very well. This is why algorithms have a real chance of getting to know ourselves better. We don't really know ourselves.
And I would say that that's a lie. I know myself very well. I know that I'm made in the image of God. I know who the Creator is and his relationship to me. I know how he functions when he created. I know how he functions now within creation. I know what the truth is Christ Jesus. I know that suffering and decay and death and evil are not a permanent state. It explains in the garden exactly why people are the way they are. I have a timeline that has been accurate in prophetic events. The only reason that I respected this enough to examine it was that it's the only book that gives prophecies, not just one, okay, hundreds and hundreds, okay, and none of them are wrong. Some are unfulfilled yet, but 300 prophecies just about Jesus. So I know who I am. I know the state that I'm in. I know what's going to happen if I make a decision to go with Christ. I know what is going to happen if I don't. I know that there is a evil system, the beast system, that will be a not only religious, false prophetic, trying to push a religion that is false, that unites everybody, that could be an alien seeding based religion, okay, that takes the glory away from God. So a religion is just a worldview, a belief structure that explains why things are, okay? And that can be totally a alien religion. When the alien come, This is, in my view, what the Bible says is the great deception. It fits in with the rapture. It is coming more and more and more amazing, which for Christians should strengthen their faith. And we should not have fear. We should try and, be within the world while we're here, and to fight against evil and injustice, and in a peaceful way. But as far as biblical prophecy says, is this is a fallen world. There's a new earth and a new heaven that will be created. There will be a kingdom for 1,000 years on earth that is ruled, by one king, and that is Jesus Christ, the King of Kings. Already during that 1,000 years, there will be a healing. There will already be a change, like happened from the Garden of Eden, out of the garden, the fall, thorns and thistles, animals started being prey and predator, decay, death entered the world. This will already become healing. The 3-year ministry of Jesus, healing and raising the dead and things like that, that will be occurring. But after that, Satan is released and defeated for a very short time, is defeated. We enter the eternal state where there's a new heaven and there's a new earth. So Christians understand that there are tribulations and trials. If you look at Revelation, John is trying to explain things, saying that cities are dissolved in a moment and people melt. I believe these are nuclear events. I think that mutual destruction will be coming. I believe that God, who has a restraint on our evil, will say, now it's time. You have 3.5 years, Satan. Go and show humanity who they, just remove, like let it go. And that's the tribulation. Almost no flesh will be left on the earth. And from a Christian perspective, it's no, humanity will not save itself. In fact, if Jesus would not come at that last moment, all of Adam, all of the descendants of man would cease to be. So this idea that an algorithm will know me better than myself, I believe that I believe the Bible is inspired. I believe that God is strong enough to work through humans to inspire. Some people get inspired to write poetry. People get inspired to write other spiritual texts. I think it's quite possible. I don't think that it's beyond God's capacity. If humanity is the apple of his eye, if everything revolves around humans, we're the center of what he cares about. I don't think that he is unable to work through man over centuries, 66 authors. In fact, that is what proves it, because when you dig deep into it, you see all the typologies of Christ there. You see all of these different authors, but seem to be under the same spirit, same knowledge. There's a continuity. There's no conflicts. Bad translations, fine. You can go back to the original. So I don't agree. I think that Christians are ready. They know that they're keeping the eye out of prophetic end times. We're knocking things off like that, and we have not even gotten into the book of Revelation historically. If we think it's bad now, it truly will be hell on earth. And the fear is removed from a Christian because they know that they will be raptured out before the tribulation time. In fact, there are some that are raptured out before, and there are some that become followers of Jesus during this horrible trial, and they are also citizens of the eternal world. So there's some that are the bride of Christ, and then the other ones are the people that come out of the tribulation. Death, war, famine, pestilence, environmental disasters, the collapse of nations. That's what prophecy says. And I think that I trust this Bible enough, and this idea that we don't know ourselves. Well, maybe if I come from a can of soup, I don't know myself, and maybe then I would be an algorithm. But I don't agree. I know myself. Jesus Christ is the truth, the way, and the life. And therefore, if I have Christ in me and I am in Christ, truly I know myself. I know the truth because I live in it, because I've died to the deception. That's my strong feelings about this.
Algorithm tracks your eye movements, your blood pressure, your brain activity, and tells you who you are. Once we have algorithms that can understand me better than I understand myself, they could predict my desires, manipulate my emotions, and even take decisions on my behalf. And if we are not careful, the outcome might be the rise of digital dictatorships.
You guys can watch the rest. I don't want the stream's already above 3 hours, so you guys can go look up Noah Harrari. I'd love for you guys to come on and tell me what you guys have learned. And again, I want you guys to affirm your beliefs. They are open there, and 100%. I will affirm my Christian beliefs. And I think that Kurt and I, and as well as the time I've interacted with Elias, Valhalla, and Bruce on Bruce Sees All channel and stuff like that, it is doable. We can still figure this out, because whether it's aliens or it's fallen angels, there is something coming upon all of us. And I think that it's very important to keep our eyes on the kings of the earth, the ones that tell the nations what to do. And I encourage you to look into Bible prophecy, because if there's a book that has been right on, on every single prophecy so far, not just the messianic, like the kingdoms that came successively, and what the end times will look like, as in the days of Noah, the genetic manipulation. I think that book demands serious investigation, because it's like no other book. All right, guys, have a good one. See you soon. Sorry for the long stream. I'm cutting this stream so the Daily Bread is separated from the discussion, like I did. So it'll end up being on video section. See ya.